Am I recording? I am. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I have an amazing human being that I absolutely love, Mary Wiles. She is a wonderful makeup artist, everybody's favorite person in the business, I think, for the most part. And just she makes everybody feel like they're really special, which is extraordinary. It's a gift. Mary, say hi.
Hi, thank you for that introduction. That's very sweet of you.
Pretty good, right? I know, I'm getting pretty good at this. Now, I will say, you, I feel like there's like a handful, a very, very small handful, like maybe three or four people in the business that whenever their name comes up, it's literally completely positive. And everyone's like, oh my God, I love her. The immediate reaction is, I love her. She's great, so.
Oh, that's really nice to hear. Thank you.
It's
Thank
true.
you.
It's a true story. And thank you for doing this for me, Mary. It's really lovely to have
Pleasure.
you.
Pleasure.
Now, why don't you try telling us a little bit about yourself? How did you get started?
So I got started when I first left school. I actually went to do fashion design at the London College of Fashion,
Mhm.
and I really loved it. But I felt that it wasn't. I really loved the art side of it, and so I realised it was more drawing and everything that I really enjoyed. So I carried on doing evening classes, and then I did a makeup course, and I felt like it was like fashion and art together was what I wanted to do. And it's like, oh my God, it was like a light bulb went off, and this is what I really wanted to do. So I went and did a course at the Glaucon Rossi School of Makeup in London, where like Charlotte Tilbury was there at the same time. There's been a lot of people that have gone through there. She's an amazing Italian makeup artist, and so I went there. And then I actually came to New York for 3 months and built my portfolio up. It was the elite look of the year. It was in the summer, and I was testing. So every day I would test, and it was like a really good groundwork for working with different skin types and just doing different looks all the time. So then I went back to London, and I had this huge portfolio of work. And I had worked for L'Oreal before doing my makeup course. So I went back and I said, can I temp? I just want to temp here. And then I went to the different hair departments and said, look, if you want me to do your makeup for any of the videos or anything, I'll do it. So they were my first client.
Smart.
So
I love that.
so I started doing like their videos and things like that. And then actually I went back and taught at Glaucus. So I had like little things that was, supporting me as I was starting out in makeup. And then at the time I started to take my book round to magazines. I mean, this was a long time ago. So I'd go to magazines, I'd be able to get an interview at a magazine, and they would say, well, we usually only work with people that have an agency. So I then went to agents, and I'd already got booked with some of these magazines. So I then went to this agent and said, look, I'm working with Just 17 next week, but they told me that I really need an agent. So they said, well, we're not actually looking for anyone at the moment, but come back in September. And at the time I got home, I had an answer machine at home, and they left a message to say, we want to take you on now. So then I sort of thought, oh, right, I've got an agency, I'm going to suddenly have all this work. Well, it's not quite the case. You still have to sort of do all the legwork, meet people, make those relationships, and do all of that. Yeah. So then I was also working in Paris at the time, between Paris and London, and at that time a lot of like people like Vivienne Westwood, a lot of people were doing shows, English designers were doing shows in Paris. So I called them directly and I said, oh, I'd love to work on your shows. And they said, okay, well, we'll give you, I can't really, I must have been Mary Greenwell's agent, I think. I don't think I had, no, it was her agent. So I phoned the agent and I said, I'd really like to work on the show. Then she phoned me back and she said, oh, well, are you any good? And I
love that. You're like,
luckily I had done some portraits for Vogue. So, and it was like Isabella Blow
Oh,
had
cool.
helped me get to do them, because I'd actually worked with her for her father's funeral. I mean, it was like, oh, yeah, it was like a
Wow.
whole sort of thing that was going on, and she was really kind. She helped me to get to do some these portraits for Vogue. So I told Mary about it, and she said, "Okay, well, come and work with me." So, and at the time, Mary was doing loads and loads of shows. So I would do about 30 a season, and 20 Mary would be heading.
Wow.
So, and at the time, you could sort of assist different people. So I was assisting Mary. She was the main person I assisted. Francois Nars, Pat McGrath, Dick Page,
Amazing.
Loads of different people. Some like really amazing French makeup artists, and that's how I sort of started, and I got into the business, really.
How amazing. I love that. Just the going out and just flat out asking, can I shoot for your magazine? And they're like, this is not how this works, Kit. That's so sweet. I love that. You're right too. I used to have that fantasy too, that once, I think when you're starting out, you think that having an agent is like a magic bullet.
Yes,
Oh, once I
yes.
have an agent, I'll be working all the time. And you're like, that's not how,
No, no,
yeah,
no,
you still have to
no,
build a
no.
clientele. It's like being a hairdresser in a salon. Just because you're a hairdresser doesn't mean you have clients. You have to build a clientele. You have to get them going.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
funny. I love that though. So how long did you work for all those guys? I mean, how long were you assisting before your own job started to?
Well, I mean, I would assist only really on the shows, so I was still always getting my jobs myself for,
Gotcha. So
my editorial and advertising, and initially with my advertising, it would be with big hair companies, because I got to know them
that's
from
awesome.
working with L'Oreal. So I worked with people like Glenby, Worthingtons, all sorts of different
How
hairdressers in London to do
amazing.
their shoots and stuff. So from a very early start, I would do lots of beauty shoot, because there'd be hair. And then it slowly started to, snowball. It would be the photographer would recommend me to something else, the client would recommend me to someone else. And that's how it sort of started. I mean, a lot, looking back, a lot of it was just being naive to call and ask to speak
I
to
love that though.
the
That's amazing.
designers, and now you probably wouldn't even be able to get anywhere near to speak
No,
to them.
no.
but at the time, this is a long time ago, and it was amazing, and it was an amazing platform to start, assisting on all those shows. It was at the beginning of the 90s, so I was working with all the supermodels. I remember, one of my first jobs was with Mary. I was well, I think we were doing Prada or something in Milan, and I remember doing Claudia Schiffer's. She told me to like paint everyone's nails, and I wasn't really that wasn't my forte by any means. And I remember Claudia saying to me, "Oh, yes, that's nice."
That's so sweet. I love it. She's like, that's sweet. Thank you, honey. I love that. That's so funny.
Yeah,
It's true. You're like, this is not my job, just so you know. I don't know how to do this. How spectacular. I love that. It's like that though. I mean, it is so different now. You wouldn't be able to do any of those things. You can't just
no,
call somebody and like show up. You can't rock up to, British Vogue and be like, hey, can I come work for you? It doesn't work like that. It didn't work like that then either. I think you're just sweet. I think you're so nice that they were like, she's a sweet kid. Okay, let's let her in. Let's see what's going on. But also it was a much smaller world.
yeah,
So
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. It
everyone
wasn't,
knew
it
each
wasn't,
other. Yeah.
it wasn't flooded like it is now. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
you know, it was still hard to get into, but
Yeah.
it wasn't,
Gotta be
it
good.
wasn't like it is now, where
Yeah.
everyone knows about it.
It's
You know.
true. I think all those like shows, I don't know, the model shows and the
Yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
it
Yeah,
opened it
yeah.
up and suddenly everybody and their mother was like, I'm gonna do that. And you're like, that's cool. And then Instagram and all this stuff just kind of like it's
Yes.
flooded.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I know it's different. There's no going back, and I'm not interested in going back, but what do you think of how it works now? Like, what are your thoughts on, like, I'm
Well,
I'm fascinated because I feel like one or two good people have come out of this democratization of fashion, like a couple of good photographers, or maybe people that would not have made it otherwise. I'm not sure, but I feel like there's just a glut of bad work. I mean, I don't know how else
yeah,
to put it, you know?
yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny. I mean, I've, in the last year or so, I get asked questions about whether I can do certain makeup and things, which I don't think I would have been asked before. And I've realized it's because, and I've been told it's because people have had bad experiences with people that haven't been able to do certain looks and certain skin types, or different things. And
Yeah.
it's because they don't have that experience that, I would take any job, I would do any test when I first started, because everything that I did, and even now you're still learning, you learn something from every job. And whether that's because you learn that that particular foundation works better on someone's skin than others, or it can change color on someone else's skin type,
Yeah.
it's all those things that you have to learn. And I'm sure it's the same for you with hair,
Yeah.
is that you get a different result with different products,
Different
different skins, and
and different types of hair and everything. Yeah.
you're always learning. So to get as much knowledge as possible, and also be in different situations. And the assisting I was mainly assisting on the shows. However, I did assist certain people for huge shoots, like big, like Avedon shoots, like
Yeah.
all sorts of very big shoots that were like Versace shoots that were
Yeah.
hundreds of people that would go all night. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And you would learn what's happening, who's important, who how things are, how shoots are run.
Yeah.
And just to have that knowledge is priceless. That people that maybe have risen to the top, because their technique could still be really, really good. Someone can learn it. I feel like some people, um I feel like with makeup, some people will have like things of putting colors together, but
Mhm.
technique you can learn, I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of everything coming together. But if you haven't got the knowledge of working with people, working in situations, fitting into a situation, making sure everything's calm around a celebrity or
Mhm.
whatever it is, that you don't, that doesn't come overnight. You need to, I feel that you it just takes time to be in situations and learn that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like there is even the most, even someone who is a natural talent, a wonderful, brilliant natural talent, still needs to practice and learn. And
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
takes years. I think it was, oh my goodness, I can't remember, Malcolm Gladwell, who said that it takes 10,000 hours or the equivalent of 4 years working full time before anyone can really call themselves an expert in any type of field. It's that much
Right.
time of repetition. And
Yeah,
with what we
yeah.
do, a lot of what we do may be repetition, but we're doing it on different things. And so I can
Yeah.
understand the makeup thing being a problem because so many of the makeup artists that have come up through Instagram have only ever painted their own faces.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And that's um that's you need to know how to do different people's faces, different skin colors,
Yeah.
know about putting colors together, and they're not getting that experience.
No, no. I was on a job once. I'm not going to call out who it was or whatever happened and everything, but half the makeup artists were Instagram that had like massive followings. And it was they had an enormous, insane budget. There was one hairdresser and one makeup artist for every model. And it was like four models.
Wow.
And as the hair, my rate was insane. And I just thought, this isn't even a hair job. So I can imagine what they're getting paid, you know? And they gave me an assistant. It was crazy. But the makeup artist was this Instagram guy who I wasn't even looking. I was waiting for him to finish and then bring the girl over to me or tell me and I'll go grab the model and bring her and work on her hair. And I looked over and I saw he was in the mirror doing his own makeup. And so I said, "Oh, are you done with her? I can grab her now and do the hair change." And he got irritated with me and he was like, "I'm not done with her. I just wanted to touch up my lip." And I was like, "Okay." And I just remember thinking, we exist in entirely separate worlds. Like, and I kept thinking of everyone that I knew, like yourself and every other makeup artist that I've ever done work with for the last 20 years. And none of them, I I could never imagine you doing that. You doing that would be ridiculous. As a gag, I could see you doing it as a joke, but not really. It was so crazy. I do think that that's unfortunately what has happened. And now makeup artists are finding themselves explaining to clients that, yeah, of course, I'm a professional. I can do all these things that you need to do.
Yes, yes, yeah, no, exactly. I
That's a
mean, I
tough
think
spot to be
that's that also from doing the shows and having to do things well with speed. You know, time is money. If you're doing an advertising job, you want to get that done as quickly as possible. You don't want the model or the celebrity to be sitting in your chair any longer than they have to be,
in. Yeah.
because you don't want to tire them out either. You want to
Yeah,
just be efficient, and that's really important. I,
absolutely.
I would not be going off doing my own makeup.
I mean, how ridiculous. I've never seen anything like that. My mind was blown. And we were doing multiple changes on these girls. Like these
Oh
girls were
my
getting really.
gosh.
So I just thought to myself, that's a lot on a girl's face. You know what I mean? Like when you're changing that much, the whole thing is like make it as peaceful and as nice for her as possible.
Yes,
Because
yeah,
you're
yeah.
stripping her face and throwing something else back on. That's a lot. That's a
Yeah. Well, that, like you say, that comes from experience. Like, usually the client would say, well, if we're doing that, what would be the best way to do it? Do we do, the lip first, or do we do the strong eye? And
right.
that's where your experience comes in, of knowing which would be the better way to go. and
Yes.
and
Looks that you can build on.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
This way you're
Yeah,
not stripping away so much.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you've seen that. Yeah, at the end of the day, the girl looks like somebody took a cheese grater to her face. Like, why would you do it
Yes, yes.
that?
At the end of the day is the cover.
The last shot. Oh, we're gonna shoot the cover. And I'm like, come on. Every time, without fail. Even the best photographers do that. It's mind blowing to me. Oh my word, that's so crazy. So actually, this leads me to my next question then. So what would your advice be to artists that are coming up now, like people who want to get started? Because, and I say this not just to blow smoke, but this is the truth. Your career, and I've heard other makeup artists say this, you have a career that is kind of ideal, at least from the outside looking in, to that everybody kind of wants. Like you have a really
Aw.
nice mix of doing really pretty fashion stuff, but you also work with really beautiful, lovely celebrities, and it seems like you have a nice balance. Like you get to work with gorgeous on all sides, and it looks like you just have a nice workflow. So how can an artist try and develop not necessarily what you have, but just what would your advice be to someone starting out?
Right. Well, I mean, I started in fashion, which I think is really important. I think that a lot of people who start in fashion and know all the, follow the fashions, the seasons, and are always keeping up to date, then you're always going to do that.
Mm.
And you're always looking at the newer products. So you should always keep up to date with products. There are, the different things, that different formulations, organic, all these sorts of things are really important to keep up on. So I think it's really important to be aware of new products coming out. I think that it's really important to have people that you do admire and follow their careers. Get in contact with people. People do direct message me, and I have used those people as my assistants. I don't use assistants that often, but when I do, I have tried out people that have been that have direct messaged me. If I need an assistant in LA, I had an amazing assistant here in New York, and he's doing incredibly well now. And you know, it's important to see the people that you like, that you would like your career to be like, and see how they put themselves forward, their Instagram, their clients, and sort of try to sort of, you know, get towards that. I think workers, you know, take it as many jobs as you can. I mean, I did, you know, I worked for free to start off with, you know, if it, because I knew that it could get me a contact somewhere. It could get me that I would then start work. You've got to always look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So it could be that photographer would use me on another job sometime, or that model might put me forward for something. So you have to be dedicated. You have to be really want to do it. It's not an easy job. You do sacrifice a lot, you know, but as long as you really want to do it and you really love it, you will feel it's not a job. That's what I felt. I felt like I've been really lucky to be able to have this career and do something that I really love. And if you have that, then, you know, it's not hard to be dedicated, and you know, you will get on. So I think when I first taught back at the college where I trained, I could tell the people that would get on and do well, and it's their attitude. It's all about your attitude and whether or not you want to put the groundwork in. And that's what I feel is important. So if you really want to, then you just have to stick at it. It's not easy, and I think it's hard, particularly hard now, but you know, just keep dedicated to it and keep working and keep learning and trying new things, and I think that's what you have to stick to.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. That's true. You're right. And you're absolutely right. That it does take that. And you're right, when you're working, because I teach classes, I have done for the last few years, and you can also tell if you're leading a team during Fashion Week. That's the most amount of people that you work with at one time, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
backstage, and you can look and immediately see who has it and who doesn't.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just from the way they use their hands. Like some people just have it naturally. You
yeah,
can also
yeah,
tell when somebody really loves it. And
yeah,
even if they don't have it naturally, I feel like if you love it, you'll be okay too. Like
yeah,
you'll
yeah,
find your niche, the things that you do well.
yeah,
And there's something
yeah,
to be said for that. Because I feel like that to me is more important in a way. Like when I have assistants, I can teach you how to do a good ponytail. I can't teach you how to be a good person. So, or to be a nice guy, to love your job, you know? And I feel like whenever I meet people like that or that's how I choose my assistants. You know,
yes, yeah,
be around
yeah,
people that are lovely like that. I feel like you're going to be fine. You're lovely. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
you're right. Loving it is a big part of it. Loving what we do. That is,
yeah,
you're
huge.
right though. I wouldn't want to be starting out now. I don't know how these kids are doing. I don't know why they're doing it. So crazy. I don't know. But anyway, I should ask you, now that I set up this terrible start, where do you think the business is going? Mary?
I think I mean, I think that, well, I hope that, you know, after this sort of pandemic, that, you know, people are going to want to have things that are nice to make them feel nice. And when things do start opening up, I think that, you know, fashion is something, and beauty is something that makes you feel good. And it's, you know, you could have like a new lipstick that could make you feel amazing, because it gives you something, it makes you feel different. It makes you've made an effort. For start, you make an effort. And it's so lovely to get like a new outfit, you know. It makes you feel good. And so I feel that, you know, once this is all starts, we all start getting out of this pandemic, that people will want to, you know, really, you know, grasp at fashion and everything. I feel that a lot of things that are happening, it is moving forward in a way. It's, you know, obviously I would be usually doing the couture shows now, or I'd be in Paris or wherever. And, you know, a lot of the shows are now virtual, and, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we will go back to, you know, there's nothing beats, you know, being together and seeing things in the flesh.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like another way of moving technology forward. But which isn't, you know, maybe people won't travel quite as much as they did, who knows, for the time being. You know,
Yeah.
It's hard to sort of gauge how it's going, but I do think it's hopeful. And I you know, I do think that this thing that they're saying about the possibility of the roaring 20s, I think that might happen, because
Yeah,
I you know, in times of depression, people do want to spend on a little bit of glamour and make themselves feel good.
It's true. You're right. Because even something as simple as buying a new lipstick or buying a new hair product that you love, or buying, it doesn't have to be like a whole thing. You know what I mean? A purse, a t-shirt, something that that's chic or beautiful, that makes you feel like you're buying into something gorgeous. And yeah, I think people are going to get over the just wearing sweats at home all the time, and will want to go out and be seen. And, you know, I think
once we were allowed to.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I've been loving the sweatshirt lifestyle, the sweatpants lifestyle, but also I am also sick of it. I miss traveling. I'm so grateful. One of my last, actually my last travel trip was with you.
Yes.
Yeah, just before the pandemic hit, you and I were in Mexico working together. And that was so much fun. Everybody on that team was a delight and a blast. And I just remember the whole of the pandemic feeling grateful that we had that job.
Yeah, I know, me too, because I hadn't done a job like that for a long time. Most of my jobs had been going to LA or going to like Cannes. So to go and do a job like that was so nice just before. I mean, we obviously didn't know we were going to get locked down.
No, we had no idea. We were just like, oh, this is fun. And honestly, I took the job half because I knew all the people on it, and I knew I had time. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I love all those people. We're gonna have a great time. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, and then like, I'm so glad we did that, because I'm clinging onto that beach image for a long time, for months. That pulled me through for a while. That was, you know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. We were so lucky.
So lucky. But you're right. I do think people are gonna want to. You're right. Like, and you're not the only person that I've heard this from. That's kind of been like a general feel, like this return to a roaring 20s, like people wanting to embrace passion and thinking. And I hope so. I hope that's true. Wow. Mary, thank you for doing this for me.
Pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, are you kidding me? You really are one of my favorite humans. I mean, all my other friends are going to be very jealous now, but it's true.
You too.
You're an absolute doll. I love it. Thank you, sweetie. I will see you soon. Mwah.
Take care. Bye.